Hey, I'm Quisha.
I'm Ash.
Malika.
I'm Marie.
What else?
Oh.
I'm Nate. That's what I was
No, but she was supposed to say BR.
And we are the
My
girls.
bad. I was waiting for
I should have said it. And they is the girl.
one more. Hey, I'm Quisha.
I'm Ash.
Malika.
I'm Marie.
And we are
The girls.
Hey, y'all.
Hey.
Alright, y'all.
There's something.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. We just got on. We already started.
We ain't ate nothing.
We ate.
Nobody said anything about
We
it.
don't some.
We don't need to know what we're doing.
I'm sorry.
Okay, you guys. So we're back, episode 2, season 2, and we have another special guest to start off the season. This is our first guest of season 2,
Hey.
and nobody other than my little son. I'm sorry, brother. Nathaniel, please introduce yourself.
She got all the kids.
All of them.
Can't get this kids.
All the kids and no kids at the same time.
My name is Nathaniel, Nate, as they call me, Nate Dog, Nate Dog, you know what I'm saying? But you know, I'm a freelance artist, also a creative director with The Rags to Riches, and working and branding that as well right now. Super excited about that. And just a little update in life, I've just been doing a lot of like freelance projects as far as like being a dancer. I just choreographed a dance with a university as well, and I just performed that last weekend. Yes.
That's dope.
He's dope, y'all. He's dope, In real y'all. life. So
Right.
just getting back to that, and then kind of the update on that is just getting Rags to Riches to a place to where like our production is about to not say go crazy, but
Go crazy.
Go crazy.
We
for
gonna say
sure.
go crazy.
He said-
Okay.
So just really looking at a lot of different things from like the 90s, 2000s, like some Isiniaki stuff, some just a lot of different brands that wore some really cool like streetwear back in the day, and trying to just incorporate like reusing a lot of items. So if y'all want to ship some stuff to our house, please contact them through the email or the YouTube comments. We will take all your scraps or all the clothes you're trying to get rid of. And we're also planning on doing a little donation through the holidays to give back to sort of all of the homeless people that we see throughout Oklahoma City. Yeah, so
He said, yeah.
I said I just dropped the bomb, you know what I'm saying?
Go
So
for it.
by the time this video drops, y'all will know
That's
that
right.
you know what I'm saying, the announcement will be out. But please feel free to contact them, because we would love to be able to not only give back to people in need, because it's cold out here in Oklahoma City. Right now it's 29 degrees in the nights, so it's like yeah, all the things. But anyway, that's kind of who I am. That's what I do. Just super excited about all that. So
Thank you so much for being back.
Yes.
Because he was
back.
One of the first episodes.
Oh, okay. I like
Let
that.
us take
Y'all
second,
just-
second and third guest.
Y'all just gonna keep bringing me back at the beginning of every season.
Okay.
At the beginning, at the end, at the middle.
At the beginning.
Beginning, middle, and end of every season.
Yeah, every episode now.
And you go ahead and send me my check. You know?
Hey, we working to get to a
He
check.
said, cut the
Okay.
check.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
Thank you, no, for real.
I like
Thank
the
you again
introduction.
for
Yes.
being a part of the GIRLZ podcast. You know, we definitely enjoy your perspective and your company.
Yeah,
Appreciate
Francis
that.
is always in the building.
And in our group.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
And in the house. And in the car.
I think everyone.
And all
You gotta,
that.
you gotta, listen, my saying is you gotta leave your mark on the world, you know what I'm saying?
I hear this voice about 24 hours. Maybe 28.
So I think,
Ain't even 28
what
hours.
is it? It's not 24/7, it's 25,
Hey.
25/8, yeah. Please.
So today we're gonna play a little game.
Love games.
We got a deck of cards.
Yeah. So we are breaking this new season in, just trying to like get out the surface level of questions, the surface level of topics, trying to break into who we are, where we want to go, and just creating the best people that we can be as individuals and as a team. So this time, last episode, if you have not watched, go back and watch episode 1.
Click out of this video
Right now.
Go back.
And go back to episode 1.
Okay.
So episode 1, we did Let's Get Deep. We got deep. Okay, not that deep, but we got a little deep.
It was surface level.
It was very surface level, you know. But this time around we have Unstuck. It's called Unstuck Yourselves. So this is basically us just kind of figuring out the questions that we have not necessarily asked ourselves or each other, and just seeing like the perspectives and the things that we may just leave in a subconscious that we just don't think about all the time, you know. So let's get into it. I'm gonna read the back. Hopefully it exceeds our expectations.
Okay.
The keys to getting unstuck isn't in finding the right answer. Rather, it's in making and answering the right questions. Now, these questions aren't mere bridges from our pleasure tree to another. The right questions can stop us in our tracks and make us think and reveal who we really are, for better or for worse. Unfortunately, it isn't always for pleasant or for comfort. However, we shouldn't hide from the light because we're afraid and of what we might expose. Often we can move onward. We must look inward. So yes, let's see what these questions
That sounds
are
like some
about.
deep shit.
Bruh,
Somebody took a couple shots, so I didn't
So,
hear
yeah.
half of what she just said. We gonna go ahead.
Okay, so just really looking in outward as far as the questions and looking inward as far as the answer.
Okay.
There
Okay.
we go. So
Look within self.
exactly. So we're gonna let our guests pick the first question of the night, and then we'll all just kind of answer and go about it that way, and
Sounds
just
great.
see where this conversation leads us. Let's go.
Okay, name one issue, big or small, that you think you can contribute to solving.
I think one issue right now that we're contributing to is having a podcast. Like, a lot of people don't have the perspective, especially like younger ages, of certain things that they lived through that people have never spoke on. And sometimes you may think things, and we may all go through certain situations, even if we don't know people we talk about. So I just feel like that's another way we could definitely help people as far as them looking into our podcast and like getting information, or just recognizing something that we may be going through that they're going through.
Getting a different perspective.
Get a different perspective.
Based on our podcast.
I would say. Great question again, but I think with maybe our
I got you. What the Just what? Let me just make sure I have everybody's undivided attention. The question was from the first stack of our little game. So
Oh shit.
a collection of questions for deeper discussions. The question was, name one issue, big or small, that you think you can contribute to solving. We'll pass it to Shari.
I would say being a hairstylist.
Okay.
Just most women come just to get pretty. They've been having a rough time, and just being me, and what I offer is to make you comfortable in the skin that you're in with whatever hairstyle. So yeah.
I'm gonna piggyback off of that with my makeup artistry, of course. A mother's touch in UK.
Hey, come
It's
on,
all about
Mother's Touch.
empowering women and making them feel beautiful in the skin that they're in. So I feel like that's one issue as far as how women feel about themselves. That's what my whole brand is about. So I definitely feel like I can contribute to that aspects of making women feel good about themselves. Because if you don't feel good about yourself, then it can show in many different ways.
Yeah.
So if I can help in any kind of way, works.
I ain't gonna lie, till you figure it out, I can't piggyback off of y'all talking about the business. Because just us in general, Rap Riches was a brand built off of wanting to upcycle. So we don't want to do the fast fashion, we want stuff that's quality. We want to get, like he talked about earlier, just getting old stuff and just renewing it, like making it something more, because we see a lot of vintage things that people feel like doesn't have value anymore, when it really does. Like some of the vintage and the old stuff like have better quality that is 30, 40 years old than some of the stuff that is literally made yesterday, because it's fast fashion and it's quickly made and it's half-assed. So cheap. So I think that's just another way we can contribute to just the world in general, is just finding the fabrics and the materials that are better for the world and can create, just sustainable and quality clothes.
And y'all do that. It's just, and it's not just this like quality clothes, but it's clothes that nobody else has.
Yeah.
So and I feel like that's fashion.
Y'all, my pants for the Made with Melanin fashion show, I love them pants.
Your whole fit was really
like they so soft. I just be
quality.
Yeah.
And to kind of piggyback off what my fellow ladies are saying is that, and specifically like kind of talking about rags to riches. I used to thrift a lot in high school, and I mean, I would literally come out with trash bags for like $15 to $20 full of like blazers, sweaters, jackets, hoodies, t-shirts, like jeans, and I never wanted to get rid of all of my clothes. I mean, like half of my wardrobe got trashed, and I had to like literally throw it away, which is probably for the better. But long story short is like, imagine had I had all of those clothes as well. Like, we took some of my blazers that I used to wear, or that maybe I didn't wear anymore, and turned them into like pieces for women. And so I really love this idea of like being able to take something and make another thing out of it, and make another thing out of it. Because I mean, tablecloths, t-shirts, curtains, like you would be surprised with how things around your home could be used again, and maybe not for you, and maybe you're not the one using them, but just getting connected to people like that. And also like, we're working on building that sort of details behind the work that we do as well, because really we're searching for making these things with love. I think that's the other thing too, is that fast fashion is great, and cheap is also great, because like there's a lot of people who are looking for budget friendly items and maybe want more cost effective things than having to spend a little bit more for one piece or one garment. But also these items are not only like reused fabrics, but they're also made with love, and they're also made with the intention that like you can wear this for years and days to come, and maybe even pass this down and so forth and so on. I love like old lady 80s jackets, so if y'all know anybody who got some of them jackets, go ahead and send them this way. I love that. Did you think of what you are contributing?
I'm actually happy that this topic came up. I'm actually happy that this topic came up because like, I don't know if I ever told you guys this, but like one thing that I can definitely contribute, or that I've always wanted to do, just have a homeless shelter here in Oklahoma. Regardless if I travel, I want that for homeless people. I don't know, it's just been like, it has always, it has always been like a soft spot in my heart. I've always wanted a shelter where they can come eat. Just I serve like where we serve 3 meals a day, or they can just come chill all day, And my first one will close up. Maybe like when I get my money up, I can have multiple buildings where they can actually stay. I can have an apartment complex, but my first one will be definitely somewhere where they can get at least 3 meals a day. Anyone can come and just eat. So that's something that I've always wanted to do. So,
and I think that's something that can be underrated, because the importance of that is like right now, I know y'all see it, we see it. Homelessness is at an all-time high right now. And like
across the United States.
I want to be homeless, but I don't blame them. These bills are crazy. Like the inflation right now is crazy. The bills that we're paying, the amount of money that we're paying for some stuff. It is what it is, because we want to be comfortable. We want to, like have the things that we feel like we need and stuff like that. But I do understand like why some people are homeless, or why some people don't go above and beyond to just try to create a different type of lifestyle if it's always going to be hard. Some people don't want it to be hard. Some people just rather just let it be. And so I think that's important, because if somebody is there offering and helping them, they can now have this other source to help maybe just find itself. Like if you have somewhere to stay, you're not having to pay. If you have somewhere to stay, you're not having to worry about paying rent and stuff like that. So then you can take care of yourself. You can take care of getting a job, like just simple things like that.
The last thing that I'll say is like,
you just took them up.
because I feel like
That's like it's last time, because
we want to get to the next question too. I love this. No, I'm just playing. With even just the homeless people, and as we talk about wanting, like, everybody's a step away from being homeless. It just takes one thing to go wrong or right
Really?
or whatever the case may be. And I think at the end of the day, trying to maybe do the best that you can. Sometimes not always giving, like, money is not always what people need. Sometimes people need, like, socks, underwear, clothes, water, food.
Essentials.
Absolutely. And I think in the end, just giving what you have and being understanding that, like, not everybody has what you have.
Man.
It's really what it comes down to. I love that idea.
Okay. Well, my question, my part, it says, if you could reach out to your 10-year-old self, what words of comfort would you give them?
Words of comfort.
Words of comfort to your 10-year-old self.
Ooh, 10, y'all.
I've done this. It's called shadow work. So, basically, going within, finding that child, that hurt child within self, and loving on them. And one of the biggest things that I have to tell my younger self for me to heal or to be in the process of healing is that you're loved. Like, no matter what, no matter who is around, no matter what is going on, you are loved. And that's one of the biggest things that I feel like my younger self didn't really know until I got older. So, that's some deep shit.
You do?
I really don't have any advice for her.
Not for her.
Dead.
Nate, you have advice for me?
It's your turn.
Okay. The question was words of encouragement for you to
Yes.
Yeah, words of encouragement.
Words of comfort.
I feel like words of
Comfort.
for my
Words of comfort.
words of comfort for my 10-year-old self. I think just to be like, things will be okay. I think things that aren't always as they seem.
Heavy on that.
And when you get older, you will actually understand. Because it's just like, as we are as kids, like, sometimes we don't understand what's actually going on and what's the meaning of what the situation may be. And I think sometimes, like we talked about in the last episode, our parents don't really know what's going on, sometimes. And or they don't know what we see in from our perspective of how we feel. And so I think as a 10-year-old, things will get better. And the main thing is you will understand. And when you understand, that'll give you all the perspective that you need, even if you don't agree.
Yeah. I like that one. Yeah.
Did you think of something to tell you yourself?
No, I'm gonna just.
Okay.
Piggyback off of what?
Yeah.
I agree with that. We're hard on our parents, can be.
What I would tell my 10-year-old self, words of comfort, I would say that your mom and family is, more specifically, like, your family also is very confused and still trying to figure out, like, what this thing we call life is for themselves, right? And so I think it's really easy to place
Blame.
I think I should be a little bit more direct. I think it's really it's a lot easier for you to place blame or feel very, like, angry, to act like, I don't want to say just off of emotion, but act off of these emotions of, like, impact, right? So it's like how you feel right there in that moment is what you hold on to. And there's nothing wrong with that because you're also a child. But I think what it comes down to is having an understanding that, people are also, like, figuring out life and trying to figure out how to raise kids and trying to figure out how to behave and maneuver and just, be in the world that they live in. And, like, as the decades have gone, like, there has always been a different quality of life for everybody. And so I think that I wish I would have been able to comfort myself then to say those people are still figuring it out. So don't search for the answer, just be comforted in the understanding that they are also searching, they are also looking, they are also trying to figure out. I personally was I forget what who the person is that made this theory, but there is a thing about learning styles as far as, like, children and people go, and one of those learning styles is called introspective, and it essentially means that you look at yourself and then you look at how you fit in the world, essentially, in that idea. So it's not always like the world owes me something. It's almost like, what do I owe the world? And so like I always had this idea of like, you know, always just, you know, off by myself, off trying to figure out like why did my family member just behave like that, or why does my family member talk like that, or why did we have to do this and that? I always ask questions, always was just trying to figure out like what it is. So just searching for these answers. And so I think that it didn't not cause me to be a child. I think I almost appreciate like being younger at that time, because I felt like for me, the quality of life was great in terms of like the relationships I had with people that I was getting to know, like kids my age, and just trying to really like be in the streets and like play outside and like do all of these things that not kids now are maybe not able to do in terms of safety or whatever the case may be. So like I appreciate that, and would tell myself to just, you know, like get comfort in knowing that people are also searching for those answers as well.
Yeah, you guys pretty much said it. Especially, I 100% agree with the parents, because there were certain times where it's just like I didn't understand, or I wanted to know why, and it's just like, of course, at that age, you speak up on things. You know, we talked about that, like it come off as disrespectful, or you being in a grown folks' business. So just knowing that everything is going to be okay, just start appreciating what was happening then, you know, like my parents, my grandparents, and things like that, because, yeah.
I remember something, I was going to piggyback off of what you wanted to contribute to society for like the homeless shelter. I was going to say that like we live, you know, our lives and do our things as well. And so not that I'm comparing these ideas, but I think that like, for example, say that we're on this search to sort of secure our finances, right? Like that's what we're trying to figure out. And say that like a homeless person is on the search for trying to secure a home. So it's like, the point I'm making is I feel like when we're able to free up or achieve the things that we're in the search for, we'll be able to give those things back as well, because we know what it takes to be in those spaces. And so it's like, imagine if a homeless person, like, you know, whatever they may come from, whether it be like the penal system, or whether it be they just like lost their finances or lost their home, whatever the case may be, there's lots of different things that happen to people. If they are able to sort of, you know, get that secure, imagine like what can be done next. And so, you know, it's just about staying with those people, finding those people to get you to where you're trying to go, so that like not only can you get there, but you can give back, so that other people can follow you in your footsteps. I think that's the biggest thing, is about trying to get people to where you work as well. And I don't know if there's enough of that in the world. And not that you need to hold on to what you work for, because I understand that and appreciate that, but there's always going to be somebody to follow, you know, to try to do what you want to do. You know, people might want to do all the things that you're setting out as your path as well. People are watching, you know, people want you to win.
I think we talk about, the main thing is gatekeeping. A lot of people don't want to give people the answers, but like we spoke about in the episode with Anthony, I can give you the answers. I can show you exactly how to do this. It's up to you to do the work. So I can show you exactly what I did, but if you don't do that, you're not going to get the same results. So that's what people have to understand. In those situations, it's like, if you do want to help people, you do get your house, you do want to help people learn how to do those things, you know. If you show them and they don't do the work, then they're never going to get there, you know. So it's really up to them. I don't believe in gatekeeping. I'm wholeheartedly open to showing you exactly what I did and what I've learned, and whatever I learned. And I don't know everything, you know, and I'm still learning. Knowledge is power, and you will forever learn every single day. So I think if somebody is open and then they're willing to do the work behind it, they can get where they need to or where they want to. It's just really just open to them doing the work. So
recall a moment when you were glad you were vulnerable with someone. Never.
Recall a moment where you were vulnerable with someone,
and you enjoyed being vulnerable.
You were glad. You were glad.
You didn't enjoy it, but you were glad you did.
That's the same thing.
I don't think so. I don't think you always have to enjoy things that you're glad about.
What?
It's like I get what you're saying.
Like
Kind
you
of like a
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I
Relief
finally
is
got
that-
that
I'm
off.
happy I did that.
Yeah.
Like I maybe did
And
that.
I enjoy that.
No.
I know. Go ahead, Ashley.
I think the recent one I was telling you guys about, I don't think I should name drop.
You
Don't
don't.
name
We
drop.
don't.
Don't be a name
We
dropper.
don't name
Well,
drop.
We don't like name droppers.
You might know it's you, but we ain't gonna say it's you.
Exactly.
We gonna get real, but we not gonna get that.
Call. Okay, how can I explain? A friend that adores me. I just brought to his attention, basically how
Their attention.
how it's okay, how you choose. You think you have a type, but the right person for you is like right in front of you type of thing, and basically he's that person that I'm avoiding, and we definitely had that conversation. And just letting him know that it was a relief for me, because I didn't know that I was trying not to have feelings for him.
Yeah.
But actually expressing that out loud, I'm like, okay, I do, but I was trying to hide that. So me telling him that, it kind of made our relationship kind of tighter. Go ahead.
How did you acknowledge that you actually had feelings for him?
If you're thinking about somebody, like, dang, I wonder what he's doing. Like, is he good? Like, genuinely,
Like you genuinely care about this person.
care about this person. So like that's kind of how I noticed, and then I'm like, I had to bring that to him and like just tell him how I felt overall about the situation and stuff like that. And it was just like, okay, that's over with. Now we can move forward to wherever we want.
That's
tough. So it was a difficult conversation when someone likes you more than you like them, but you have feelings for them, So
Yeah.
I feel like you have to have that uncomfortable conversation.
I love that.
Being honest with yourself.
But it was like,
I don't see a conversation for that.
Ready
it
for
was
what?
tough.
The same day.
What do you
That
mean?
same kind of conversation.
Situation.
What are you not ready about for the
Conversation.
Because with me, I feel like I don't like hurting people's feelings. I feel like, I don't know, that's me.
I think it's tough when they're very genuine people. So it's
Right.
like, I know that you like me, and I know that
Mhm.
we have a connection. It's just not anything more
Yeah.
than like this friendship, and that it could possibly never be anything more. But like, I actually enjoy you as a person. I think you're a good person,
Yeah,
and so sometimes it's just like, why go into a situation and make it bad when we don't have to do that? Because then sometimes you can go in a situation to where it's like, we try, and now you annoy me, and now you get on my nerves, and now you do
But I
this.
feel like it was a little bit different because she was saying that she was holding back her feelings. Like
Yeah.
she was avoiding it. Like she
But it can
has
go that way
feelings.
as well.
It can definitely go that way, but I
Mhm.
think it was more so like, okay, I do have feelings too, but I'm like denying them because
Yeah.
I don't want them to go sour or whatever.
Yeah.
the case may be. And I feel like I'm on the same boat, but on the opposite end, like in the guy's place, because I don't know how he feels.
But you like him?
yeah.
Right. Type
So,
thing.
Mm.
It's like I don't want to say bring it out type thing.
Because you don't want to get your feelings hurt.
That
Yes,
and also like
yeah.
I don't know. I think that's the biggest thing. Like rejection is like very tough for me. Like I've never been too fond of rejection, but it's just like
Yeah.
And yeah, but it's like some people can take it better than others, and I'm one of those ones that don't take rejection too lightly.
Yeah.
So it's just like
What you mean?
I'm not gonna say shit else.
Yeah.
So if somebody rejects you in a way, do you can try to pursue that again, or you just let it be?
Just let it be.
I feel like
Let
you
it
should let it be.
Yeah, like if they reject you, like what's the point?
Like you're telling me that you don't.
Yeah.
You're not interested.
So why would I continue?
Okay, so what about the people who you can reject and then they don't let it be? When
You know what I
you
mean?
don't reject and they don't let it be, they keep pursuing, or they keep.
Like say I was that gentleman that you're referring to, and then you let me know that you feeling me, and then I'm like, okay, well, like I appreciate our friendship and stuff, but I'm not really feeling it. But you continue to pursue me, like
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do
We're
that.
gonna have a
No, not saying
Not
that.
necessarily saying you, but like how.
What would you do if you were me and someone kept pursuing you, even though you're like, I'm
We
not
have to have
interested?
a conversation. I don't know.
Like you definitely gotta have a conversation. Like I don't.
So I don't disagree with that by any means, but I do think that So my question is like, say we had that conversation, what is the expectation of having the conversation? Because you can't make someone understand where your perspective, right? Like, and I'm not telling this to test you, I'm telling this because I'm curious to know like what would be the other solution. Because if someone came to me, we had a conversation and then they felt as if that still wasn't being done, it's like, at that point, do you cut it off and be like, you know, like, we need to just not create any opportunity for that to happen by just not communicating? Or do you,
I
you
don't
get what I'm
think
saying?
it has to go that far. I think it definitely needs to be an understanding, like, we're not going to take it that route. Like, I appreciate the friendship and I enjoy your company or whatever the case may be, but as far as like cutting ties completely, unless it was getting like, no.
Right.
Well, the reason why I say that is because, say it gets to, like, you know, it's a nuisance. Not that it's like dragging your day down or anything, but it's just something that you always have to address, or you always feel like you have to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, at what point does it become
too much?
Yeah.
Like, have you?
I think with that, because when it becomes to where it's like something you continue to have to address, it's like, you just talk about like, somebody can keep pursuing, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I enjoy the friendship, I enjoy you as a person, but it's like, if I think we set a certain boundary and standard to where our relationship has its stopping point, if you continue to keep crossing that, like, at what point do we like dispart ways? And the thing is, sometimes we don't always want to do that.
Right.
It's like, I actually enjoy you as an individual. I think you're great, but I know that we should not cross this boundary just because we're great friends. That does not mean that this will be anything more than what it is. So yeah, I think I personally, in my personal life, am still trying to experience that and still trying to figure that out, because like I have came across that situation, and like we discussed earlier, just like some people we feel like are good for us, right? But we don't have that connection or that chemistry with, and so it's like we deal with people on a daily basis that necessarily are not the best for us or may not have the best intentions for us and stuff like that. But if we do come across that person who has those right intentions and who has that perspective that would give us the things that we actually say we want, why are we not trying to make that work? We run away from it, right? But then to like breaking it down, sometimes you have to break down each level of that. And when you break each level down, it's like, I still don't have that chemistry with you. I don't have that connection with you.
And sometimes people like, it's okay to just be a friend.
Because we might have that connection, like, I fuck with you. But we do not have chemistry. Like, we don't have chemistry and we are not compatible. And just because we connect don't mean we don't have chemistry. And if we don't have chemistry, this is not gonna ever work. And also, I take that back, because somebody might be like, I got chemistry with you, right? But you like, I don't got that with you. We're connected, but we don't have the chemistry. That's what people like misconstrue, because at the end of the day, like, I might be connected to you, but we don't have that chemistry. So I think just setting that boundary, and then also learning, and it's just like, at what point do we address it? And if it keeps continuing to happen, then we don't, what do we do next?
I feel like if it continues to happen, like at that moment, if it continues to happen after we had a conversation about you continually doing the same thing, then that's me setting my boundaries and just cutting everything off. I respect our friendship. If I see you in public, I don't hate you, I don't dislike you, but I need you to really understand. Like, I'm not playing like this. Like, you know, and that's the nicest
And we
way
can
to
say
talk
that
to
too,
them.
but like, sometimes people say like, I understand you, and some people say like, I agree, right? But they always are holding on to that.
What if they change it?
I mean, there's always
So I mean, you can always have the one. We're not saying that you can't just like. I get it. Sometimes people are so connected to people that you just might not ever really let that go. I'm not saying that I ain't, but I'm just saying like people, you know. I'm just saying, but like some people like will not let it go, and so yes.
Next. Anybody else want to answer Ashley's question? When was the last time you felt vulnerable? Recall the moment when you were glad you were vulnerable with someone?
For myself, With Trey and lately I have been. It's been a year or so now, so it's like I won't ever know until I actually try with someone. You know, this person hasn't given. Oh Lord, this person hasn't given me.
She said, "Oh Lord, you can go talk."
He hasn't given me any reason to not be vulnerable. As hard as it is, because I'm still healing a lot of things, and being vulnerable to a man, that's the biggest thing for me. So working on that and him being vulnerable with me, is helping me a lot.
I think for me, more recently, like there's some people that I communicate with in my life, and I decided to just get real with them about like, you know, where it is I'm trying to take my life and what it is I'm trying to do. And I let a guard down that I felt, not that I was holding on to by any means, but it definitely is something that I didn't have to like disclose and didn't have to open up about. And I kind of have been just walking on this like idea of faith, just as like I lead through my life right now, and I am very happy that I did end up being able to be vulnerable with them, because it allowed me just to get a different perspective and really appreciate what it is that I'm trying to do and the people that I have in my life, like that I actually have access to in my life. I think that's the biggest thing is, you know, as we talk about like the work that people don't do, it's like we have great people in our life. We have great people who want to love us, support us, be there for us, build us up, literally even make us the people that we say that we want to be every day or that we dream about being. But often we don't place ourselves in those environments or place ourselves in that line of sight with those people to be able to get exactly what it is that we want done. And so I am fortunate enough to be able to have that in my life and have those people that I can lean on, and did so. And, you know, it allowed me to get into a place where I can now, again, just have a different perspective and really go set myself on a path to go achieve the things that I'm trying to do. Just building up my finances, building up my overall like net worth. And then that was just through my network, right? And so that's just kind of where I was at. And that's something that I was glad that I appreciated and excited to kind of see what the work entails on the backside of that.
I feel like it's not necessarily someone, but with myself, being vulnerable with myself, like really sitting, like we talked about the last episodes, like really sitting with myself and reflecting and all of that. Like if there's one person that you can't hide from, it's literally yourself. Like you can hide from everybody else, but you cannot hide from yourself. So being vulnerable with self it'll really like put things in different perspective and really hone in on like what do you want? Like, what are you going after? Like what's the reason that you're moving the way you're moving, or you ain't moving the way you should be moving, and things like that. So I feel like with therapy and like I said, journaling and things like that, like I've really been able to just like figure Quisha out and what I want in every aspect of life, whether it's like just my business or what I want with my kids or what I want like with self and relationships and things like that. So I would say myself, I'm happy that I've been vulnerable with myself.
I piggyback off that, and I agree, because it's like we go through life, right, and we go through these phases and we go through just so many different changes, and sometimes we're not vulnerable with ourselves because we go through so much. We just feel like this is what I'm supposed to deal with, this is what I'm supposed to do, and it just is what it is, which it isn't what it is. Okay.
It isn't what it is.
So with that being said, it's like we have to be vulnerable with ourselves. We have to give ourselves compassion, and we have to be, you know, open up to the sense that like I'm open with y'all, but I'm not vulnerable with y'all. Like 2 weeks ago, a week ago, like I literally broke down and, you know, cried, and I like talked about that or whatever. It's just like I'm not that vulnerable ever. You boy, I was in the bathroom and shit like he not gonna keep me apart. But it was like,
know that you just like.
That's not
Indeed.
I'm so pissed, y'all. But it's just like, I'm never like, I can open up. I'm like at the space to where I'm like, I'm open with y'all, you know, but it's like the vulnerability is completely different than being open. And we have to break them two down, because two people, you may think that's the same thing, but it's not. Now I can be open, but now me being vulnerable is me crying and shit. Like that is different. You know what I'm saying? That is different. That is so different. And so it's just like, Nate, he don't know what to do, because it's just like, that's not,
What did you do?
that is me, but that ain't me.
I'm supportive.
You know, so.
How did I react? That's a good question. Is there a particular?
I feel like when it comes to certain things, when it comes to me, it just in general, I think you're not used to certain things, and like you're not used to that from me. So like at first, I think it was just kind of like, oh, she really like is feeling, she feeling something, and then it's just like, I think sometimes we just don't know what to say when people are in those spaces, because it's just like, we talk a lot and it's just like we discuss, but it's just like at certain points you just like, I literally don't know what else to say. And I think that's at that point, like we both know the understanding, we know what's going on, and we're trying as hard as we can, and it's just like shit just keep happening. And so like for me, that was just like, I didn't even expect anything. Like there was nothing that he could have said, y'all. It was just, it just is what it is. It was just like.
And sometimes you don't even want anybody to say nothing.
That's my thing.
You want somebody to listen.
It's like, it's nothing that he could have said or I could have said. Like, I literally really didn't have much to say. It was just like, at that point, it just was what it was. When you're mad, I mean, it's not even about being mad. It's just like when you're in that space, you're just there. And so I think when you are there, that's very vulnerable, because it's just like, ain't shit else I can do. Like if I'm like, I'm a little bit emotional or something, you know, I might cry like in a room, but not that often. But like that, when you break down to certain points, sometimes it's just like, all right, I don't even care no more. It's like, I've tried,
it's crazy.
I've done what I can.
It's crazy because I used to be so emotional, like super emotional. But I feel like within the last year or so, like I can count on one hand how many times I've cried. And like I'm not, like y'all know, Quisha's crying. Like I'm crying about everything. But like really, when's the last time y'all seen me cry?
And see, with that being said, like for me before, I was never like, okay, so a few years ago, you can cut this out or you can leave it out, I don't care. But before I got on birth control, like I was not as emotional as I am now. And I'm not saying like I be crying and stuff like all the time, but like I'm more in tune with my emotions. And so like, for a while I was just like, I don't care. I ain't trying to hear that. I ain't trying to see that. Like I'm always been an understanding person. Like when it comes to emotion, I'm just such a logic person. It's just like, you're being very emotional and you need to get out of it. Because I personally don't feel that way, and I'm not thinking that way. But like I always have seen every point of view, but now it's like I actually am more so like breaking down the emotion and being vulnerable in a certain sense. But like, again, just being open. Like I think my thing is just being open with people. You don't always have to be the most vulnerable, but like,
I like that, because I think that's, we were literally the opposite, because I was more so emotional, and now I'm seeing the logical side of everything, you know. So it's like, before I think emotion, I think logical first. So it's not, oh, I'm gonna cry about this because what the fuck? Like it's just more like, okay, what are you gonna do now?
Yeah, I need to work on that a little bit more, because babe, I cried.
Because the thing is sometimes.
Same face. I love that.
No, because sometimes it's like.
The last time that
before that, I can't tell you the last time, but it was just like more so what the logic is. Like, okay, what can I do to make my situation better? Because sometimes we're crying about things and we're breaking down about things that like we can control in a sense, and then some things we cannot control. But also, like another thing that I've learned is like I can be emotional about it, but if I can't control it, I can try to do something else. Now, if I cannot control it, there's nothing that I can do about it. Literally, we pray, we talk to God, like, what am I supposed to do in this situation? When it's the right time, it's going to come to you. Even if you didn't forget about it, you're like, you know what? I didn't try it, I didn't pray, I didn't did this, I did this, and all of these things, and it's not coming at that moment. As soon as you need it, it's going to come.
And sometimes it's going to be like overwhelming. Like I feel like that's where the emotion comes in. When it gets to a point to where it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like, I can't catch a fucking break.
Mhm.
Like, what the fuck?
So it's like there's nothing else to do.
There's nothing that you can do. There's nothing that, like, it's literally out of your hands, but it gets to the point where it's like, I'm so overwhelmed, like, I'm filled with emotion.
Mhm.
Type. That's where I feel like the tears come and the emotion comes. But
Cause even it's so crazy, like tears are like these little bitty things, right? And it's just like, just teardrops coming down your eyes. But whenever they do, and whenever you cry and then you stop crying, like it literally is sometimes a weight lifted off your shoulders.
it's a release.
And it like it literally is crazy because it's just like, you know what? I just needed to, because I think when you cry sometimes it just lets that emotion out to where I'm no longer really having to even think about this. You know what? I've cried. I thought about what I needed to, and
That's
whatever
it.
happened after I cried, it's gonna happen. You get
Oh,
got tired of holding the
no,
mic.
no. I'll wrap up this topic by saying I am a man, right? And men are very, very, I don't want to say logistic, but very much analyzers, and they always want like a solution. And so as we talk about being vulnerable and just like being around the ladies and just being around women in general, I've learned that women don't often want an answer immediately, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just means that sometimes they're not really looking for the answer, or they're not really and also like sometimes the answer is not what makes people feel better or what people are searching for. It's really what I'm getting at with that. And as I've kind of learned that as well, just like as Malika talks about, trying to figure out like what it is you can do. So as I refer to the answer, I'm also just saying like, what are solutions, right? What are other options that we have in front of us to be able to get us out of the space that we're in or out of the mindset
it's
that
crazy
we're
that you
in.
brought that up because this last episode we were talking about leaning on each other, and we were saying like, we're not gonna give you the answer that you want,
Right?
but it's like it's gonna be the logical, like, okay, what do we need to do?
For sure.
And sometimes, even though that's what we need, it's not what we want to hear.
Yeah,
at that
and I
moment.
think that's what it comes down to. It's like, I feel like that's part of what, just leading back into being vulnerable with yourself and kind of like being honest with what it is you're spending with your time, energy, or resources, right? So it's like, say you want to eat healthier, right? Like, where is your energy spent when you're with your friends, right? Or when you're with your family, or when you're in these spaces that you spend your time. And there's nothing wrong with spending your time there. I think really what all of this comes down to is like habits that you can change, like one at a time, and really just trying to be like, let me start with this, and let me start with this today, and then let me start with this again tomorrow, and then just keeping that going because, at the end of the day, we all have things that we're trying to do and achieve, and so I think if you can be honest with yourself first, it'll lead to being honest with the people around you, and that'll just kind of get you down exactly where you're needing to go.
If there was one person you could apologize to right now,
Wow.
Fuck y'all.
Let her read the question.
Fuck y'all for this question.
Hold on. Let's go.
Go ahead.
I'm about to sneeze.
are y'all listening?
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Bless you. Bananas.
Okay, bless you.
Bananas.
Bless you.
Let's get to it.
If there was one person you could apologize to right now, who would it be and what for?
God.
It's on this side now. We in.
Nah.
No, we should have.
You wanna start?
I feel like I be answering these questions, but I'm not answering these questions in the same sense. But I feel like I've done a lot of healing, so this is why my answers are like the way they are. So if it was somebody to apologize to, it would be to myself.
Say the same thing.
Just like the vulnerable thing. Apologize to myself for putting up with things that I know weren't great for me at the time. Things that I allowed to happen, and just giving myself grace, like, okay, you know what you did, you know what you allowed, it's okay. As long as you learn from said mistake or circumstances or whatever, it's okay. If that makes sense. Without just, I'm not just gonna go into detail, but
I agree. Like, I literally was gonna say the same thing. I feel like I apologize to myself because at the end of the day, it's like, I'm not perfect. I'm not a perfect person, but like, I acknowledge the things that I do, and I always want the perspective of other people, you know, like if you feel like I'm doing something wrong, like I want you to be able to tell me that. But I do feel like I need to apologize to myself because we've allowed things that we should not allow. We've crossed boundaries that we feel like we shouldn't have crossed just because we do feel like, let me see, you know, even if I know that this is crossing a boundary that I've set for myself, even standards. When we say standards is not something that like, I'm trying to put this person up to this test or I'm trying to make this person be this type of way. It's more so just like, this is what I want, this is what I allow, and this is what I offer, you know? So I think, I just apologize to myself for allowing things that I know, even just besides it being with other people, like, the fitness thing, like, I've allowed myself to fall off of being on top of my shape, being on top of my fitness, being on top of my health, because I was so worried about other things, money, working, you know, so stuff like that. I apologize to myself for not staying true to who I feel like I'm supposed to be.
Mainly because I feel like I never committed to myself. And as crazy as that sounds, I feel like I did things that I knew I was in pursuit of, but when I talk about commitment, I mean like day in, day out. This is what you wake up to do, this is what you go to sleep to do, this is what you are like really trying to, not even saying focus on, but trying to be able to accomplish, I think is really what it comes down to. Because I don't think any of us here are mediocre people, and I don't have anything against mediocrity, but I do think at the end of the day, when you know that you're destined for greatness, like you want to get shit done, you know, and you will get shit done, right? And so when I talk about apologizing to myself and like committing to myself, what I really refer to is, you know, not when I say I would apologize, I'd be like, I apologize that you don't have all that you need to get what you need to get done. And that's not to blame, it's not to pass off judgment, it's to say that like you're so focused on so many things that you're trying to you're trying to pay your bills. You're trying to make sure that you don't fall into any like delinquencies, on top of like trying to be a better human being, on top of trying to be a better like roommate, brother, cousin, friend, lover, like all of these things. So it's like your plate is so full that, you know, you can't even get what you want done right now because you're focused on so many things. So I would just apologize to myself that like, you know, that you're not able to commit to what you want to at all times. But I would also follow up by saying like, I would apologize to anybody that I've ever come across, because the thing is, it's not that I apologize to you for our friendship, but it's just like, if I ever made you feel like that I didn't value you, or that I didn't value our friendship, I would truly, sincerely apologize for that, because that is not the case. It's just that, again, referring to the first comment, that I am always so focused on so many things, and so is everyone else, but it's just like, we weren't always, we weren't always given the grace to one another to be like, you know what, I can understand that you're focusing on your plate. I can see that your plate is so full and my plate is so full that you can't even add kung pao chicken to the top of your plate because it's gonna break, right? So it's like, I would apologize for that, and just, you know, that perspective. And I think the last thing that I would apologize for and to is probably someone that passed, and I would only apologize to them for not being able to have more time with them. And I only say that because, like, as an adult at 25, I realize I cherished like every single second that I had with them now, opposed to then. And then, like, you know, you didn't know, you get played so full, you're focused on so many things, but I really wish I would have been able to, and when I say cherish, I think I really mean, like, in a way, I'm like talking like about being selfish and about being able to sort of take over as much time as I could have with that person in the environment that I'm with. So like, it is kind of like selfish that I'm saying that, but I also say that to the extent because it's like, you're not here right now, right? Like, you're not around. So like, I would have loved to have been able to have maybe more memories, or maybe more feelings of like those people that you maybe have lost, or that was around with you as you get older. Because, like, you know, I don't know if y'all know this, but as you get older, like, the memories and thoughts live with you, and that's like how someone stays alive. But like, it does deteriorate over time, and like, again, if your plate's so full and you focus on 5 things, like the idea of someone that you lost is just that, you know? So not to get dark or not to get sad, but it's just like, I would apologize to you for not being able to have cherished every single second that we had together then like I do now.
I do agree with that. And not so much to be hard on myself because of certain circumstances with life. I do still feel like sometimes I do apologize to my grandparents with them living in Chicago, but with me being me jumping from job to job, not, you know, I feel like sometimes I didn't actually push hard enough to go visit because I'm an adult now, you know. If I need help, I can open up my mouth if I really wanted to go see them, but getting so caught up with life and bills and stuff, it's just not like right then and there because I'm trying to focus on myself. So, you know, communicating over the phone, I'm a big in-person kind of person, so I feel like I apologize because I feel like I should have pushed a little bit harder to make more memories and stuff. So now that they're not here and the holidays are coming or just in general, it's just like, yeah, you know. And also to myself, because of, like we all said, knowing that certain things and we do them anyway, not being fully committed to my business at some times. People that felt some type of way and I didn't know. So every morning when I pray, I'll be like, I apologize to anyone that I've offended or hurt unknowingly, you know, or, you know, with communication, because some people can take things differently. So I do also do that. And my parents' grace. I am learning that to this day. And holding on to a lot of things, it's, you know, so definitely giving, that started like in my early 20s, still just coming to adulthood, you know, you feel like your parents should be doing certain things and not knowing that they're adults and they still going through life and having things they're going through. So I feel like that's a little bit selfish of me, being an adult myself, so.
I feel like I agree with everyone, but off camera I was just letting them know like how I was just like basically acting out of character of who I really am, and like I definitely want to apologize to myself for putting me through like situationships when I could have just avoided it. Like everyone who knows me know I'm literally once I mess with that one person, that's who I mess with. But like I feel like I just went out of character, and like now it's just like getting to me in a sense, like bringing that up to my friend or whatever. But I definitely have to, like you guys say, give myself grace about that and just kind of, you know, fill that out and just let it go after that. But other than that, I feel like parents, you know, of course, we apologize to our parents for not understanding everything and stuff like that.
The last thing I do have to say about the apology thing is I agree with the apologizing to people that you never meant to offend. And it's mainly because it's like we all go through different phases in our lives, and like I've been into the phase where it's like I didn't really care about how people feel as in that moment of like their feelings and the things that they're going through. If I don't mess with you, I don't mess with you, and I didn't want to deal with you, and I just did not care, you know. So I definitely apologize to the people who feel like I've ever offended them in a way, because I am definitely a different person than I was, you know. So like people may not know me now and know where I am and know where I'm going, and that's okay because you may not ever know this person. But the person that you did know, I apologize for her being that person to you.
That's what they still probably know.
You know, and so people do still look at you as that person. And at the end of the day, it's like we do apologize for those people that we have became, because we do, like, it's like you have to sit back and look at the things that you've done and the things that you said. Like, dang, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that, and I shouldn't have done that. You know, that was kind of harsh, but at the end of the day, I said it, I've done that, and it is what it is at this point, because I cannot take that back. But I do apologize for offending you in that kind of way, you know, and that is not my intentions. But moving forward, if I do offend you in that kind of way, like bring that to me. Like I'm a different type of person to where I am so much more understanding and open to us having that conversation.
Yeah.
I definitely feel that because back in the day, like first impressions, oh, I thought you was a bitch. Like that's
Seriously.
off rip with everybody.
That's why we
And
had
now
that.
I get more so, okay, she's such a sweetheart and she's so kind and blase blase. And I was just having a conversation with my best friend recently about like basically what I wanted to leave on this earth, like when I do go. And I was like, I want people, as far as my kids, I want my kids to be able to say, my mom was loving.
Yeah.
She was a loving person. She cared about everybody. And there's a handful of people that still knows the old Quisha that didn't give a fuck about what you were saying, what you did, or none of that. And like you said, you do have to apologize, not only to yourself, but to those people for if you did rub them the wrong way, unintentionally, without you knowing, then you definitely have to apologize for that so that you can, it's not even about them, it's about you. Because if they want to hold on to that, they
That's
can.
them.
That's
That
it.
is
But
them.
like I've said many times in this podcast, I'm not the same Quisha I was 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago, 3 years ago. So if you want to hold on to that Quisha, the old Quisha, then that's totally up to you. But I'm no longer that person, and that's one thing. I know I'm a big believer in karma, and what you put out is what you get back, and all of that. So I feel like, excuse me, I feel like that's one of the biggest things, like with how maneuvering in a certain type of way. Like I said, I want people to know that, like, no matter what, if she had it, she was gonna give it to you. Like, she's a kind person, she's a loving person. Like, she may be stern and she may come off kind of rude sometimes, but it's all love at the end of the day. So I definitely get that.
Bring us on down.
Dude. Yeah, all that in a bag of biscuits. Because I think the two things that I will say is,
Biscuits in a bag?
yes, biscuits in a bag. The first one is just that I heard a quote that every person that you meet knows a different version of you.
Yeah.
And so that really like threw me for a loop, because I was like, damn, you know, not even just that first impressions are everything, but like the impression in which you leave on people is what they remember. And so, you know, say you're rude to somebody, or say that like you're spiteful, or say that even like say that you're super nice to someone by just commenting on them, or say hey, you know, saying hello, saying that you see them or something like that. Like that's something that people will always remember and know you for that for. So I think if we really care about how people see us, and not in a way of that's like that's artificial or that's very surface level, but that you care about the impression in which you leave behind people, then I think it's important to understand that, you know, everybody's going to see a different version of you. And also, like, you know, not everybody's going to understand each version of you.
And it's not for them.
No,
it's
yeah, no,
not
absolutely.
for them to understand.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you said that, because not just an apology, but a thank you to the people that has seen me through all of my versions,
For
and
sure.
are still sticking by my side.
Yeah.
Like, there's only a select few that know me from being a child, being a teenager, being an adult, being a mother, being just a friend, whatever. So it's like different versions of self, and being able to see me through all of those stages of my life, and still being like, I rock with you, I fuck with you. So thank you to those people that are still around.
Y'all the real ones.
Facts. Okay, y'all. So we have one more question, and what's crazy is this question is the exact same, but it's just the opposite of. Now, what is one apology you wish you would have received that you never did? I personally feel like one apology that I feel like I have never received is just, I think the expectation that people have of you. People put this expectation on you, and they feel like you're supposed to be not more than what you are, but just
I feel like partly maybe what you might be talking about is just that people see you doing maybe certain things, or think that you're more capable than they might be in terms of like achieving like self-awareness, for example, right? People might see you as somebody who is very extroverted and it's easy for you to apologize, or it's easy for you to like get things done. And so I think maybe part of what you're referring to is that people hold you on a high pedestal when like you're really just, you know, trying to figure things out yourself, and you're really just also trying to understand what that means for you.
No, I got it. One apology I feel like people all feel like owe me is not treating me how I feel like I should be treated. And when I say that, it's because it's like, we all know I'm a very like mental person, and I'm like not too emotional and whatever, you know, the case may be. But it's like, whenever you are like that and you're the strong friend or you're the strong person, like people also feel like they can walk over you. People feel like they can try you so many times, you know. And it's like at a certain point you do break, and you may not even break on that person. It may just be like, you know what, I'm not even messing with that person anymore. I don't feel like I need to address that. I don't feel like I'm one of those people that like, baby, if you rub me the wrong way, you may not even hear from me again. I ain't gotta argue with you. I ain't gotta do none of that, you know. So it's just, I do feel like people owe me sometime an apology of just like not feeling like I am enough in a sense in just certain situations. People definitely feel like they can just walk all over us sometimes, and like we allow that sometimes. So I think that's the real apology, is like, I have allowed you to do that, so that's why you continue to do it. But yeah.
I feel like sometimes people don't give other people grace. Like, we always talk about like, people got shit going on. Like, you're not the only one that have problems. And I feel like I don't like how people take whatever they've gone through in life and take it out on the next person. Like, I don't like, y'all said, I don't like spreading negative energy. I feel like people really have to give people grace. You do not, if you don't speak to them on a daily, even if you do, I speak to y'all, you do not know truly what they got going on. You don't know if they mental state. So I feel like you need to give people grace, and actually, I wouldn't say care, but I feel like at least give them grace. You don't know that person. Like you said, you don't know this version of me. So like, as far as, I feel like respect goes a long way, and just giving people grace and like learn how to speak to people. I feel like some things isn't worth arguing about. Like,
it's a waste of time.
Like I've noticed about myself, like it makes me too angry to argue, like to where I'm shaking. Like when I'm upset, like I literally just cry, because like I'm about to blow the fuck up. Like oh, it's dead. I don't know when it was off. But yeah, I just feel like, some people definitely owe me an apology, you know, just because like that's crazy to me. Like, give people grace, and you don't know that version of me. Like,
That's
you don't know this version of me.
know that version of that person.
Like in today's age, I'm just like, just one person I feel like definitely owe me an apology, and I don't like that shit. So that's what it is.
I would say,
People crazy out here.
and I think this.
You just go for it. Say what you want to say.
Dive right into it at first.
Say what you want to say. Exactly what you want to
Talk
say.
your shit, girl. Talk your shit, girl. Talk your shit.
No, honestly, and I feel that other women can relate. I feel like niggas be owing us apologies, and what I will say with that is, because if you're genuinely a good person and they know that, and they're taking advantage of you, you definitely only one. And what I will say,
Me too. I'm like, baby.
Talk your shit, girl. Talk your shit, girl.
y'all know, like, I don't know if I should say like I have respect, because I do with certain situations. I lose respect for people with stuff like that. So with my ex, I feel like I really want to say that those apologies don't mean anything, because I've heard it so many times. So it's like, forgive to be forgiven, but it's just like, all right, man, I've heard this few months ago.
I think with that, it's like the apology that we kind of want from like certain people whenever they break us. So it's like, if you break me in a certain way, like, you have broken me down to where it's like, I do feel like you should apologize for that. You may have not acknowledged that in that moment and or after the situation, but it's like, we talk about people who are not healed dealing with other people, and then it's like hurt people, you know.
Yes.
And so that is just like you break me because you're broken, and then that's just another cycle that we have to go through, and then we have to repair ourselves. So now, not only did you help break me down in a sense when you didn't have to, I now have to help heal myself and repair myself to become this better woman and better person for the next person, and or going into a new relationship, bringing that into it because you have hurt me in a certain way, and now I apologize to that new person because I didn't go into this situation to hold on to old stuff because I cannot trust people.
And that's hard. No kizzy.
Like,
It's hard because it's like we talked about the whole healing thing, and you think, okay, I've healed, I've been, celibate, I ain't been in a relationship, I'm doing me. But once you get in a relationship,
it come back.
That stuff come back.
Trigger.
what?
Trigger.
So it's just like, are you willing to work on that? Because you're no longer with that person no more. So are you gonna let that past issue hinder what you have going now, especially if it's good?
Yeah.
So and another thing, do y'all think that the apology is even worth it? Like, we're saying that we want an apology, but
sometimes it's not.
Like,
because some people don't mean it. Some people don't
If you don't mean it, I don't want it.
Because some people be like, I apologize because you feel like you need an apology.
Like, what? You feel
shit. You could have get.
Nigga, I do.
Yeah.
All I can say, go ahead, Quisha, my lady.
I was just gonna piggyback off of what
Piggy.
you just said, because that's still a
Get on with that.
soft spot for me as far as, and I'm trying not to cry.
Don't you do it. Don't you do it.
Oh shit!
You need to
Because
talk.
no facts. Like needing or wanting that apology, like you hurt me because you were hurt, and knowing like I loved you with all my heart, and you still did it, even though a lot of men be like it was unintentional. Like you knew what you was doing.
Unintentional.
Like you knew what you was doing. So it's like I don't even know like if that was to ever come, like how I would be able to receive it, because it's like I'm literally like having to heal myself, and it's taking so much out of. I'm gonna cry.
And they don't understand like how much it takes.
It takes so much to heal from something like that. And not to just put my business out there, but I mean, wrong or y'all. I have to look at you every day, even when I'm not looking at you every day.
Twice.
And that's even more hurt on top of it. And it's like, you could have left me alone.
That's the
Literally,
thing.
that's the
You could
thing.
have left me alone because I was going to fine without you. It's not like I came to you. I never came to you. You came to me. So it's like, that is one apology that I feel like I definitely deserve. Like, hands down. If there's anybody I deserve an apology from, it's that person. For sure.
I feel like if that ever happens and you do receive that apology, you are going to accept it, and you're not even gonna think about it.
You're gonna let that.
You're gonna be like, okay.
Because you know, sometimes people apologize and you're like, you needed to do that, but it's actually like, thank you.
Yeah.
Because you did need to do that, and
I think it would be more so thank you for the acknowledgement of it all.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
It literally is just like, thank you.
Like
because
I've apologized.
it's not about you.
It's not about you. I've already accepted your apology before you even apologize, so that I can heal myself. It's just the acknowledgement of it all. Like you know
wrong.
you did wrong.
Yeah.
You know you did wrong. And you're acknowledging that.
Man.
So
that whole forgive to be forgiven thing. Like you know.
End us off, babe.
I think the one apology I would want is, and not even want, but maybe would appreciate. Yeah, I would appreciate is from it's like I would say like my father.
Yeah, go for it.
But like
I have one thing to say.
I was
I
thinking about
That's
that.
why
I will
I was
say-
waiting because I got one more thing to say.
Before
I will
Malika had
say-
spoke, that was mine until she said what she said.
I literally have one more thing to say. Because
It's like I would say to him, and like part of me is like, yeah, I would apologize. Like I would like an apology, but I think as we talk about, like if I ever got that apology, I don't think it would really mean much
yeah.
because, you know, at the end of the day, it's crazier to me that there are people who you are not blood related to you that know you better than people you are blood related
It's
to
always
you.
like that.
It's like, what?
And I don't hold anybody, like as an adult now, I don't hold anybody for that, but I do think that it would be a lie to say that it doesn't affect the way that you know, maneuver every day, or the way that you live your life, or the way that you are able to try to figure out, you know, what even makes you happy at the end of the day. And so I think that's what it comes down to, is that I would like that apology, but I don't know if I would appreciate it. So going off to an apology I would actually appreciate. I think I would appreciate, and not an apology like, oh, I'm sorry, I did this, that, and the other, but I think I would just appreciate like someone apologizing for not giving me grace. And so that's not an apology for judging me, that's not an apology for like placing blame, but it's just an apology for understanding that like maybe you could have, maybe we both, right, could have exchanged more grace to one another in the friendship or in the relationship that we had, to be a little bit more understanding, a little bit more respectful, or maybe even a little bit more direct about what it is that we wanted at that time, or what we felt like we needed at that time. Because I think when I think about relationships that we do or don't have now as an adult, I think that's really what is missing for me, is that sometimes for a lot of our friends or the people that we've come across, is that it's easier for them to sort of like have a grudge or hold on to these feelings or hold on to a moment in which they met you, opposed to actually expressing how that made them feel and being able to find a resolution, not only for themselves but for you as well. So like it takes a specific kind of person to be like, let me find a resolution for both of us, let alone myself, first and foremost. But I think if someone really cares about you and they really love you, I think that has nothing, I don't want to say that has nothing to do with what they choose to do every day, but I think that someone who really wants to be in your life, I should say, would give either themselves or even yourself the opportunity to get to a good place and get to a place where you both feel like, you know, you're moving forward as a unit, opposed to like two people having these differences and having these perceptions of one another and not actually communicating what those perceptions feel, look like, sound like, or how they even play into the relationship that you have or don't have. And I think the last thing I'll say is, when it comes to that relationship, for some people it's about like, or when it comes to apologies, like I think people think that because you spent so much time together that they don't need to treat you a specific kind of way. And even with like yeah, you know, and like I'm guilty of it as well. Like even with Malika, there are times that I'm not always as it's not that I'm not, I don't want to say it's not that I'm not open, but like when I see like Shari and I haven't seen Shari in a long time, like there's a certain kind of feeling that's there. So sometimes there's sometimes that happens, but like I catch myself, and at the end of the day, it's not an intentional thing. It's just something that I'm trying to be a little bit more aware of. So sometimes people make you feel different things, and I don't think you always appreciate, you know, where you are with someone. And so just trying to get back to that as well. So
I mean, we've talked about that. Like I tell them all the time, I'm like, Nate gets the backlash of everything. Like they don't ever see me with no attitude. I mean, they do see me with attitude. You know what I'm saying? They don't see me acting up. They don't see me when I'm just like, you know what, this is it. Or like I told him earlier, I was like, sometimes I'll ask you something and you don't give me the answer I want, and I'm like, you know what, I shouldn't even ask you. I shouldn't even ask you because you're not giving me that. Like I told him that, so it's just like sometimes.
That's how I do.
You ask me.
Yeah, so sometimes we're working on it.
But it's a work, right? Like you got to be willing to both put in work, and I think both of you have to understand the value of that. And so it's like if value, like for example, if I go spend $20 in Europe and they see the value as less than $20, then like I'm not gonna buy the same things, right? Like I don't get the same exchange of that currency. But when they're both equal to one another or both willing participants in the exchange, I think that's when it becomes richer in terms of like what you grow to or what you're trying to achieve or what it is you're communicating.
Well, you guys,
We dug deep today. Let's end this shit.
I thought it was going to be a funny episode.
That was only like 5
These
questions.
cards. These cards is sticking it up.
That's fun. That's it.
I mean, he with the like parent question. It was more so just like acknowledgement of our parents and how we talked about last episode, and I won't get into it too much. We already talked about just I don't feel like the oldest apology is just like acknowledging the things that we went through and stuff. But that's pretty much it. I do think people should definitely hit on like the apologies from, like you said, like your dad and stuff, from people who do actually like, hey, I get it, I'm an adult now, but like you were my parent. I mean, not were. You are. You were.
You're not my dad.
I'm not. You are my parent. It's just like, it would just be appreciated to acknowledge the things that have occurred. That's just.
I do agree with that.
Yeah.
It's just the
acknowledgement. Like,
Acknowledgement.
I'm not saying you have to apologize, because at the end of the day, we have all done our own things, and we are not perfect.
Yeah.
We have kids yet, and all of us, and so we don't know what we will do in the future. We will not know what we'll do in the future.
Well, and I think like
It's just acknowledgement. It's just acknowledgement.
Acknowledgement also means to like have to omit or have to admit, and so I think sometimes
you got
people aren't willing to do so.
Well,
so
I didn't say you can't. You got that option. You got to.
you got.
All right. But yeah, and you should anyways.
Yeah.
But hey, it is what it is. Everybody is their own person, and then everybody also just some people just never grow into that. Some people just never actually grow into the like, I should admit to doing this, and I also should confess, or not confess, just like speak on it, you know. And some people just live with like, hey, I did that, and come to the terms. Some people just literally live with things, and they just like, I will never say I did this, or I know that I should have did this better. And that's just those people. So it is what it is. And like, as us grown adults that are healing, and in the seasons that we're in right now, we are moving forward in it, and we're healing in it, and we know that what we're doing to make ourselves better. And that just is what it is at the end of the day. Big period. Big
period.
So drop in the comments what your favorite topic was.
We
Yes.
touched on a lot.
Yeah.
Drop them.
You can rewind and fast forward and rewind.
Go back. Let us know what your favorite topics was.
Alright, you guys, make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms that will be linked in the description box below.
Make sure you guys comment, like, share, and subscribe to this motherfucking show.
And we appreciate you guys for tuning in today, and thank you for our special guest for coming in.
Yes.
Don't forget to tune in to episode 3 coming soon. Love y'all and see y'all
We're
next
out.